So let's see if everything's working. Test 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? So everything's working. Test 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Okay, audio is working. I just posted on Facebook that we are going live. Hopefully some more people will show up. Well, today I'm going to show you how you can work with dynamic content in brizy. Small disclaimer in the beginning. This is not a sponsored video, and I bought my license with my own money. So if things aren't as great as I personally think they should be, I'm going to say that. Well then, yeah, let's start. I have here my test page I usually use to try everything out. And we have one post on this page. I'm going to show you this one right now. And that was created with Gutenberg and some other editors. So this is how the page looks in Gutenberg. And we want to make this thing here into a brizy post because this looks very strange at the moment. Okay, so when you're working in brizy, there are some different types of dynamic content you can work with. Let's start with the basic ones you can use on pages, and well, theoretically also on postings, but that wouldn't make much sense. So let's start with a new page. I'm calling this one home. I'm going to publish and edit with brizy. This first type we're going to use as the typical type you have on a homepage, for example, where you want to show your latest posts. So I think most of you will know this element. It's called posts. I'm dragging and dropping it in here, and you see posts is already set up for dynamic content, so you don't have to do a lot here. The images are set to show the favorite images of the specific post, and this is one of one of the elements that came in the beginning of brizy. So you can say version 0.5, I would call it, because there's one little problem here. You have only one filter you can set. So if you have more categories, you currently can't show all postings from all categories on with this element. So you have to choose one category, and this category can be shown. You can filter by title, date, stuff, whatever you want, change the order, so that's everything you know. The only workaround right now you can do to use the posts element is that you create an overall category. For example, I usually use uncategorized and put all of my posts in uncategorized and the categories where they really should be in. Then I'm going to show in the post element the I set the post element to uncategorized, and so all new posts are automatically shown here. I won't start to manipulate now the post because I want to show you another element that you can use on pages or on blog posts, and that's the carousel element. Carousel starts out as a normal element, so with you can put your images here, you can put your text here and stuff like that. And this can be turned into a dynamic content element. So let's set the first image here. I'm going to choose one of the installed ones. Jump to the last setting. So now we can delete these ones. Okay, these are the three basic elements you can see here, and you have this dynamic content. It's an icon from a database or something like that. If you turn this one on, you see it changed automatically, and now it shows my image in every of these sections. This happens because we now are in the dynamic content section, and that means that all elements you have in here will show always the same stuff. So if we want to show here the favorite image, I'm going to delete her now and click on this dynamic content icon, and now I'm picking favorite image. You see it changed in all of my settings. Same goes here. For example, I don't want this text here, makes no sense. Let's start with the post title. So you type hashtag in the text element, and then you get this list of all available elements you have. If you're using something like pods or advanced custom fields, these will show here also. So let's pick the post title, and here you can see post title now has a dotted line. And that means this is an element filled by dynamics. Sometimes it happens that this can go lost or something like that. You usually notice that then the dotted line is suddenly gone. So if you want to look at the page and you notice, oh, there's something odd, check back into brizy and take a look if you see the dotted line below your dynamic content. If it's not there, set the hashtag new. So now we have here our post title. In the dynamic content, I personally in the posts or carousel element, I personally like to use the hashtags because I have now here the possibility to say, for example, put an HTML tag, h3 for example. If I have here a section, it's called latest blogs, stuff like that. Let's do this here, latest blogs. And let's make this one a little bit larger, and I'm putting here my h2. And so that Google knows exactly what's going on, I want here my h3. You can use the title element. You have it here, post title. But post title has, or had in the past, I think it's still only h1. And I don't want to have a different h1 on the page anywhere. So with the post element or with the carousel element, I recommend you use text fields. So let's add another text field. And here I'm going to take post date, again centered, so that this one is a little bit larger. Remember, if you change in the heading and the typography, this is only the look, how fat your text is, how large your text is, and stuff like that. you have to change the HTML tag manually if you really want this thing to show up as a heading part. For example, here I now have the post date. I'm going to put this one as H5, but only the optics of it, because it would make no sense giving the date a heading element. So let's move this a little bit closer to the post title, maybe not that close. Okay, and last but not least, let's add a third one. And here I'm going to put my little text. And as you can see, whatever I'm going to change here, brizy automatically copies the content to all other elements, and it's you can work on any element you want. They all get synced. So last but not least, I can change here if I want an autoplay, but that has nothing to do with the dynamic content. It's just an optical thing. And of course, I can say how many columns I want to show. And by that, I can change the size of the elements and how many items I can scroll through. In the dynamic content setting, you here also just can choose one category. And again, the title filter and the order, if you want to go from the last spot to the first or otherwise around. Okay, these are the two elements you can use with dynamic content, but for example, if I'm going to use right now just an image element here, I also have here in the image element the possibility to use a featured image, for example. So what you can do if you're working with a header, so let's add a header here. Right now we have here a standard image. If you've set your image already in your theme in WordPress, you can change this one, delete this one, and change it to site logo, for example. And then you always will have here the image you set in your WordPress theme. And same goes if you want to make a footer, for example, and you want to show something specific there. For example, let's add a row. I'm going to set here an image. I can change this image now to author profile. And now there would be the image of the profile of the user, preferably if he has an image, using from his WordPress account on your website. Same goes with text. You can use all texts on in any situation in WordPress, in brizy. And for example, if I'm putting here author name, we now have here the image and the author name. You could put that on every single website or blog posts and stuff like that. That works everywhere. Okay, now let's start with the tricky part, the themes. Start with themes. We go to brizy templates. Oh, templates, no themes. Let's start a new one. So trash this one. And here I want to show blog posts. So I named this one blog posts. You can name it whatever you want. We have single posts, all. Here you can change if you only want specific posts changed, or from a specific category, stuff like that. But we want to change all, so I hit add. That's important. You must choose one thing to make sure the templates are working. So you have you have to see one delete button to be sure it's working. So let's publish this one and jump into brizy. Before we go on here, let's make a one before and after thing. So let's open this post here. This is now yeah, we had already, so let's turn this one off, delete, update. Okay, so this now is our before. And now we can start to work on our template. Let's have a look here if I've put a featured image. Yes, we have. Okay. So edit with brizy. So we start with a blank page as usual. I like to work with hero images, so I'm going to jump into the block settings, and here in the background section I'm choosing an image, and here you see the same database icon we just saw in the image element, and here I'm going to choose featured image. So this is there, and to be able to work a little bit easier I'm going to put an overlay here, but make this one a little bit 50% transparent. So I have it now easier to work, and in later you never really know what kind of favorite image you might see. So if you are now working with a white text, but later you have posts with a very bright or a white favorite image, you would have trouble to see the text. So this is why I'm using an overlay. Now we can work with the title element. So I'm putting this one in, and you see already he writes hello world, because here in the preview section, the brizy always shows you the last blog post you had. So this is now our hello world post. We can change it as we want. So I want this one a little bit larger. And below that, there's the post info. So here you see when was it posted, how many comments, who posted it, stuff like that. Things you usually have in a head, for example, of blog post. And you also have here the option in the element section to delete specific things you don't want, or you can change, for example, the orientation, just in case. If we, for example, go for a setting like this, then we could put these here, the text, the title, for example, here. You could mix and match however you like. Well, that gray was a very smart idea. It's very hard to see the line. Okay, now let's make this one back. Okay, here we show our image, and to the end I would like to have a divider and make it an arrow down, and here I'm choosing white. Okay, so let's make this a little bit larger. Now we can go on with the content. The content also, I want the background to be white. If you don't set a background, your theme's background will be taken. For example, if you use a basic standard theme like 2020 from WordPress, I've noticed that people often complain, why do I have a yellowish background, stuff like that. that's the cause. You haven't set any overlay color here, so don't forget, if you want this white, set the overlay to white, or your theme's background to white. Okay, now we're here, and we can go on. For example, let's start by showing who the author was of this piece. So let's add an image. We pick here the author profile. Then we want to have this in black and white. And let's make it a little bit smaller. And roundish. So here comes the author's name. Make this here a little bit larger. And below that, we put the author's bio. And here I want to link the name, you see, to the author's URL. So if you click the name, you get directly transported to the author's archive page. So there we go. We have here our hero section, then we have our author who wrote this piece. And after that, we can go on, make this one, for example, a little bit darker again. Let's use this gray. Adding a row, removing one of the columns. And now I added the row so it looks like what's going on here is intended. So we add a border. I want to add a little shadow. And to make everything a little bit smoother, let's pitch the corners to 15 pixels. So this looks pretty nice. And here we add our post content. Here this is post content. You see, it looks a little bit strange, but that's just because we are right now in brizy. So let's change this thing here. And I want a divider to the upper part, and I want this one in white. So let's make this a little bit smaller, this a little bit smaller. So, and hit update. And now if we go back to our page, there you go. Here we have now our image, and as you can see, all elements, even those from other editors, other Gutenberg editors, have been translated into brizy, into our blog content. And if you watch here, it's exactly the same stuff. Yeah, well, that's it. What I can tell you about dynamic content. That's basically all you need to know. If you don't have any other questions, well, we are finished, ready and through. If you have anything else you have problems with in brizy right now, you can ask me, and maybe we can find a solution right now. A slider dynamic. Well, depends on what you want dynamic on the slider. But usually, well, you can put dynamic elements into the slider. That should work. But we can have a look. A slider dynamic. Well, so let's add a block here and make this one a slider. And now, for example, we use an image and make this one a featured image. And in the next slider, we also put an image and set this one to author profile, update. Well, as you can see, you can work with dynamic elements within a slider. You can also change the background of the slider and use here a dynamic image, for example, the featured image. So let's put a feature image here in this post and update. Now we should make the arrows maybe white. Dots white, arrows white. And try again. Yes, as you can see, it also works. We have here our background. This was set to favorite image. Let's set the arrows and dots to red. Okay, that should help. So let's change this one here to site logo. That should help a little bit. So let's see, where can I put site identity, site icon. Huh. I have no clue where to set the logo of the page in Bloxy, but well, as you can see, you now have here the a little bit darker image part. Here's still the background image part of the profile. Yeah, but it works. You can work with dynamic elements within a slider. If that was what your question was. If you wanted to make a slider show your latest posts, for example, like the carousel element in really huge, that's not working. Show your latest posts, for example, like the carousel element in really huge, that's not working. But well, we can try it a little bit. I never tested it, to be real. So let's try this out. Let's use carousel. And here we put the paddings all to 0. And here that is all 0. That is all 0. So let's change this to dynamic. More settings. Everything here we set to 0. Now we delete the stuff we don't need. Image element, set everything to 0. And now set the columns to 1. Well, we are going, it's going somewhere. Well, let's delete this image element and put a text in here. So I think he deleted now everything. Okay, so now we are talking. Here we use as background image the featured image. Now we set this one here to H1. And call this post title. Put it in the middle. Add another one. Make this one, for example, our text. Make this a little bit smaller. Well, let's see what happens. Huh. Okay. So basically it works. We need to add a spacer. No, I want to add the spacer. Make it, for example, 400. Good. Let's put this back to 0. Okay, well, currently I have no text in this blog post. Where is it? Here we go. Edit post. I'm going to post here something. Let's change the favorite image to something more black. Update the post. Here in brizy, let's change the text to white and this one to white. Update. And there you go. You have now a dynamic slider with your latest blog posts. So yeah, it's possible. Now we just would need more posts, and we could say slide automatically. You change the carousel element into a slider element. So yeah, that's possible. Someone else has something he would like seeing fixed for him in brizy. Well, in that case, I would say we are done here. I hope next time we have a little bit more views. I'm trying to make these workshops now every Wednesday. So people know, oh, Wednesday, 19 o'clock, let's watch brizy live. And I hope you liked everything we did today. If so, feel free to subscribe so you don't miss anything I will do here in the future. And I will also post tutorials and how-tos and show you how you can create complete websites. Well, that's it for me for today. And I hope you had some fun, you learned something interesting. And we're going to see us next Wednesday. Bye-bye.